loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we're at the start of another weekly reading vlog, and this week we are continuing on with Leandra's TBRathon. We have to do the second roll for Paws Bookshelves. If you don't know what this is, Leandra is an amazing YouTuber. You should definitely go check her out, but she has created 3 different games for TBRathon. I'm taking part in 2, mainly this one, as well as Booktuber Bingo, which I am a part of, which was so much fun. She got loads and loads of different YouTubers to give in a prompt for this bingo board. My goal is to get the one that is going diagonal, so it has my prompt going diagonal. Last week I managed to get 1 bingo prompt down. We're gonna see what this one brings. I actually don't know what I'm reading for this vlog, which is really weird for me to say. Normally I know exactly what I'm reading, but I genuinely don't know. So we're gonna have to roll to find out what the hell I'm reading. I don't know. That's it. We should just get straight to that roll. Let's do that. Last week we rolled a 4 and we landed on a winter setting book. So now I have the choice to go up the ladder and start from here, or to go round and go collect the dog as I go. I'm thinking, honestly, I'm feeling a bit chaotic today, so we're gonna go round and hope that that is not the wrong move. Wish me luck, because I don't know, I've seen this game be really nice and then really mean. So let's see. Oh, okay, we got a 5. That's not too bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. A TBR backlist, and again after this one I can have the choice of do I go up to mood read, but I do want the dog, so I think I either have to combine the 2 or read one that is less than 300 pages and then also a TBR backlist. I might see if I combine the 2. Let's have a look. Lighting change and everything. Honestly, it's literally only been a couple of minutes, but the sun is gone as far as the UK is concerned. It's like, nope, that's it, we're done now. I mean, it is what, 4 o'clock, almost 4 o'clock, so you know the sun's had its time. But okay, so we got, oh hang on, I left the board. Okay, so we got TBR backlist. Now TBR backlist, I was double checking the rules, it is pretty much just a book that's been on your TBR for a while, so I can't be my reread, so I can't be reading this one yet. Our Discord book club pick is the Goblin Emperor. This is a reread for me. That doesn't count for TBR backlist because it has to be a to be read book. So I was thinking, instead of doing all my shelves, I'm going to be nice to myself and choose the TBR backlist out of the books I need to read for the month. The oldest one fits for under 300 pages, great. If not, I do have a pick for that. So I'm pretty sure it's going to probably... well, it's not going to be Misleaded Parts Half Known, definitely not Floating Hotel because that's a newer book that's just come out. These 2 are a year old, but I don't think it's going to be those, so I'm going to check the publication date on these. Now I'm doing it by publication date, but in reality I could do it by the oldest book on my TBR, which I then think would be The Crow Garden, but it might win by publication date anyway, so let's just have a look. This one was gifted to me, by the way, so thank you so much. This one was published in 2017, so I think we've got a winner because I don't think A Closed and Common Orbit is published that long ago. They're both 2017? Are we insane? What? Oh, okay, so which one do I do? Now technically this I purchased a few months ago. This was gifted to me, pretty sure it was 2023. So I feel like I should do this one. Just for consistency's sake and it being a backlist book, it has been on my TBR for a while. But this one does not fit for under 300 pages. This one is 366 pages, so it's definitely not going to fit for that. But the book I was thinking of for under 300 pages, my partner and I are doing a challenge. Well, to be fair, he's doing the challenge and asked me to also take part to help motivate him, and it's like this 75-day challenge where it's like drinking a certain amount of water, doing a certain amount of exercise, reading a non-fiction book and all of this. I said sure, I'm going to take part in lightly, I'm not doing it as big, but one thing that I did like the idea of is the non-fiction challenge, and the challenge is to read 10 pages of a non-fiction book per day for 75 days. And I thought, you know what a great way to get through my non-fiction TBR, because I've got so many non-fiction books and I haven't been picking them up, and this will get me in the habit of actually reading non-fiction again. In 2023 I did a really good job. I read 4 of them, which I was very happy with, and then last year I read 1. This one is under 300 pages. I'm starting off with this one for the challenge with my partner, and this is Ways of Seeing by John Berger. This is another gift. This was gifted to me by Denise for Christmas, so thank you very much. So I'm very intrigued to give this one a try and just read 10 pages a day. It means I won't be finishing it this week, but I think just for Leandra's game, I'm gonna do those two. I think it makes the most sense, to be fair. And look, both of them are gifted. Ah, this is really fun. So yes, that is what I'm going to be reading this week. Once I finish this book, we'll then move on to another role. I don't know, because I am trying to not push myself with reading loads and loads inside these weekly reading vlogs because I have so many other things going on at the minute. So currently I do have 1 week where I don't need to start a book for my cozy reading vlog, which is great because that one I'm going to be starting books in January for that one to come out in February, but those books aren't published until the 15th. So I have about 10 days, which is really good because then I'm going to use that 10 days to get ahead with some of my Battle of the Booktuber vlogs, which will be coming out in July. I've got 10 books I need to read between now and July, which is easy considering I normally read about 10 books a month. However, they're secret books. I can't talk to you about them. I do my weekly vlogs every single week and I don't want to take that away from that. So I've got these 10 extra books to fit in around everything else and around the cozy new releases videos that I do. So it's quite a bit to fit in. So I really am going to be taking the heat off myself, especially for at least the first 6 months of the year, in just reading 1 book a week. Maybe more if it's a really short book, maybe less if it's a longer book, and just doing it like that. And hopefully you don't mind and you're okay with the change in reading pace for these weekly reading vlogs. But yeah, I'm excited for this. I think this is really good. So The Crow Garden, not even spoken what it's about. This is a book I've been meaning to read for absolutely ages because it does sound really good. Set in an asylum, which I love. I love books that are set in asylums, and we are following a doctor, Nathaniel Kerner, who takes up his new position as a mad doctor at Crackthorne Manor, but the person that owns it really isn't that interested and so shoves him off onto this particular woman. The woman is Mrs. Victoria Holston, whose husband accuses her of hysteria, saying he'll pay any price to see her well, but she has a completely different tale to tell, and Nathaniel gets caught up within this story. I'm really excited. I really do like books in this sort of setting. I love exploring it. I have a general just fascination around it anyway, about how it used to be the case that women were shipped off to these places under cases of hysteria because, you know, it was easier to put them there than have them be outspoken, fight out against things, or sometimes the husband just wanted them out the way so they could get on with a mistress. Like, don't get me wrong, some women really did need the help, but there are a lot of cases where women were wrongfully put in these situations. So I just have a fascination about it all. Really excited to read this. I am thinking once I get through some of my non-fiction books, I would like to get through about half of my non-fiction TBR, and once I've done that, I actually want to find some non-fiction books about asylums and about how women were treated in them and things, because I do find it fascinating. Each year I want to hyper focus on something and then read all the books on it for non-fiction. So this year I'm starting off with this one just to get me in the habit of reading non-fiction again, because it's pretty simple and easy. There's like loads of photos in it and stuff, and it's all about art and the way we see it, and also just the way we view certain things. Our beliefs and like culture, society, things like this have an impact on the way we see art. So I'm really intrigued by that in general. Honestly, this role, 1 role, 2 prompts, has worked out really well for getting me to finally read this and also starting off my non-fiction journey, which me and my partner are then going to check in every day after we've read our 10 pages to see what we think. We're not reading the same thing, but it will be really interesting just to have these discussions, and yeah, I'm really excited for it. I think it's great. So we have those on the go. Oh, I just want to say I did receive another gift from Denise. So Denise, if you saw the recent unboxing video, you would know Denise absolutely spoiled me this Christmas, but I had a couple coming after Christmas, and this is one of them. The Tao of Pooh, based on Taoism and how Winnie the Pooh kind of shows it. This is a book recommendation I got from Leo, the book Leo. Loved this and said that they really recommend. I mean, I love Winnie the Pooh. I grew up with Winnie the Pooh. It's my favourite thing. The original video of Winnie the Pooh genuinely scared me, that forest bit. It's brilliant. I love Winnie the Pooh. I've been trying to find the original film, but I can't find it anywhere. But yeah, I'm really intrigued for this and just to see how it goes. So thank you so much, Denise, for this. I'll message her to make sure she knows I received that one. But yeah, that's everything. I don't know what we're going to be doing in this vlog. I've got like last week's vlog was very much productive starting off the year because I'd fallen so behind. I'm still a bit behind, so I've still got loads of editing and things I need to do. That's actually what I need to do after this update, is get to editing and stuff, but I'm feeling quietly confident at the minute that I'll be able to get everything done, which is good, and we'll just see what it brings. I'm not planning on doing anything tomorrow because it's meant to be like -1 tomorrow, and I'm like, I am really good to stay inside where it is nice and warm, loads of cups of tea, and just get some stuff done. I've got loads of filming I need to do. I need to do my top books of the year, and I also want to do like a little reflection bit in that video about like what's happened. Wait, will this video come out after that? Maybe, yeah. Yes, it will. So yeah, so that would have been, so I'll link it below. But I need to film that because I still haven't filmed it. Like, this is what I mean, I'm so behind. Normally for my sit down videos, I am at least 2 weeks in advance. The only ones I'm not in advance is the wrap ups because I can't be in advance for those. But everything else, 2 weeks minimum in advance, filmed, edited. So behind. I am so behind in everything. We will use this time to catch up. But I hope you're all doing really, really well. Let me know, how's your reading going? Are you taking part in TBRathon? And what game are you playing? You'll have to let me know. So far, oh, actually, why don't we see what the books will fit for on the bingo board? Oh, Gabby, historical fiction. The Crow Garden, that would work for that. This is historical fiction. All right, perfect. Well, that works for that one. That would be great. And I don't know ways of seeing it. I mean, I'm not going to be finishing it this week. It's going to be like next week anyway. But what can this be? There's no like non-fiction picks on here. I don't know. We'll sort that one out closer to the time. This one does at least do that one. So we're on our way to getting our bingo. So hopefully by the end of the month, we will have at least one bingo. That is the plan. But right, okay. I think I've waffled on for long enough for this first bit of the video, and we'll catch up with you soon. I'm very excited. I'm very pleased, actually. I didn't know what I was reading this week, but I think this one will be really good. This was probably the book that I was most likely to keep putting off out of the TBR. Like, if I was left to my own devices, I probably would have started the reread this week, then maybe next week done the science fiction reading week, and then after that, probably based on my mood, it would then kind of go between The Prisoner's Throne and this one. So this one would have got pushed off towards the end, which I don't know why, because I think I'm gonna like it, but I just do that sometimes, especially with historical fiction. At least this way it's getting me to read it earlier in the month, which is really good. Oh, I need to edit, but I also just want to have a cup of tea and read. Maybe I'll edit for an hour and then I'll treat myself to a cup of tea and some biscuits and start this book after that, because then I've been a bit productive. Okay, I think that's the plan. I am actually gonna go now. I said that like 3 minutes ago, but I promise I'm actually going now. Read the first 104 pages of this book, so I'm now to chapter 12 in The Crow Garden, and I have things that I like and things that I'm not liking about this book. So we'll start off with the things that I like. I am intrigued. I am really interested in Mrs. Holston's story, in what she believes, because we've just found that out, and I like that. I think it's very interesting. It'll be really intriguing to know whether that's true or not, and also like the way she's treated, the difficulty with it all, because we know that in asylums people have been treated terribly in the past, to the point where their treatments were basically different versions of torture. We know it was despicable conditions. Miss Holston's had her autonomy just taken away from her. She doesn't have a choice in any of the things that happens to her. Her husband is very demanding and is like, you are going to do every treatment possible to return her to me, as a meek biddable wife the way she should be. You know, she has turned into this slightly outspoken person with different radical ideas and things as far as he's concerned, and so he's like, you are going to fix this, and she gets no say in the matter. He's got the money to spend on it, so what she wants, her views and everything is out the window. It doesn't matter. It's gut-wrenching to read. I am intrigued to find out, is what she's saying true or not about her husband? That would be really good to know. And regardless, even if it isn't true, still the way she's being treated is horrible. Like, it just shouldn't happen. However, the thing that I'm not really liking is our main character, Nathaniel. I really don't like his perspective. For me, there's a lot of self-pity in his perspective, which I'm just not liking, because I'm like, but then none of this stuff is happening to you. So he is clearly enamored by Mrs. Holston. Like, he thinks that she is beautiful, that she is so dignified, and the fact that she's been reduced to these things he thinks is awful. Which I'm just like, okay, great, it's good that you feel that way, but also, you know, other people are also in the same condition, and he does feel uncomfortable with some of the things that are happening, but he doesn't do anything about it. And I can kind of see his position where he's like, well, I'm new, I don't want to be pushed out the door, you know, if I am gone, then who is going to stick up for her and things like this, who's going to fight her corner in the small way that I can. And I'm like, okay, fair, but at the same time, he's just, it's very full of like, oh, poor me, I have to witness this, oh, you know, nobody believes in my name and I'm like discredited because of something my father did, and all of this stuff. It's very self-pitying, which I'm just like, oh god, can you please get a grip? Like, it feels really bad to say that, but there's just something about him as a narrator that is grinding my gears more than anything else. There are parts of this that I like. I like the way that it's broken down. I like the fact that we get the case notes on Mrs. Holston. I like the fact that we get a personal diary from Nathaniel that's detailing all his innermost thoughts. You know, I like those aspects of this book, but the narrator itself is where I'm struggling. That's something that I can say that is normally a make or break for me with a book. If I'm not getting on with the writing style or tone, then I normally end up DNFing it, which I don't really want to do, because I am intrigued by things. Like, I do think this, I mean, this has all the makings of a book that I would normally really like and be really intrigued by. And like I say, there are parts where I am intrigued. It's just the pacing on it feels really, really slow, which is kind of expected. It's historical fiction, so I do kind of expect that. But at the same time, there's just something about this that I'm not quite gelling with. So I think what I'm going to do is do another roll and change up what I'm reading. Give myself a bit of a break, because I don't want to hit a slump. I don't want to try and force myself through this book and not enjoy it. So I think I'm going to change up gears, pick up something else, and then eventually we'll come back to that book. Before we do the next roll, I have been reading little bits of The Ways of Seeing. I'm up to page 38. So I have done my 10 pages a day, did them this morning. It has only been 3 days. Like, this is the third day, but this book started on page 7. This is intriguing. So it's done in essay format, and the first essay that I read, which I just finished, I'm a couple pages into the second essay, you can tell it's a bit more dated. This essay was entitled The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction, and this was done by a German critic and philosopher, Walter Benjamin, and this was written around 1970 for the essay that was published or something. And it's okay, you can definitely see it's a bit dated, and I don't agree with everything that this is saying. So this first essay did focus in on reproduction of art, how it changes the perception of art, how us knowing more about the artwork changes our perception of that as well, how we interact with that artwork, also how class structure has an influence on art as well. Some of the ideas I can kind of agree with, and some I don't, and I think it's a bit more dated, but I kind of like that I'm not agreeing with everything in this, because it's a non-fiction book. I want it to challenge me. I want it to question some of the things that I'm thinking about, so that I can assess how I feel about things and really think it through. Because I think if you only ever have books that agree with your perception, or just in general, I guess, only ever have discussions or interactions with things that agree with everything you're saying, you're never going to grow as a person. That's my personal belief. So I quite like that this is causing me to question things, and doing 10 pages a day I think is a really good way of doing it, because it gives me a chance to then spend that day thinking about those 10 pages and really deciding, okay, what didn't I agree with in this? Has this swayed my mind in any way? It just allows allowing me to explore my own objections a little bit deeper, which I like. I like that. Now the second essay is literally just images. It's nothing else, and I think it's impactful because it's going ways of seeing. How are you seeing this photograph, and making you look into it and making you think, okay, what is this showing me? Things like this, which I like the idea of. However, this is all black and white, so I feel like you're not really getting that same connection you would have if you were seeing it in the colours that it was meant to be seen in, because I think colour has a massive impact on how we view things. Something that is very bright and vibrant compared to something that is very dull will give you different emotions upon looking at that. I can go, okay, I can look at these in an objective manner in black and white, and maybe that is the purpose, is that you're seeing it without that colour, without that interpretation of how you feel about certain colours, because certain colours produce a soothing reaction. Some are a bit more like I want to say ignited, but like a bit more fiery and passionate depending on the colours that are used. Colour alone inserts its own interpretation onto an artwork. So having that all removed makes you go, okay, well, what is this image showing me? I've got no colour to go based off in terms of emotion, so what am I being shown and how do I feel about that? I like the idea of, but also I think having maybe it be black and white and then the next page in colour to see whether that would change your mind on how you feel about it would be awesome. But this book is just black and white. The next couple days is going to be very simple because there isn't really any text, so that's going to be easy to fly through. But again, I'm enjoying it. I don't agree with everything, and I couldn't sit here and read it for long periods of time, but I am enjoying those 10 pages a day, so that's really good. But okay, now let's do that roll so that we can, I was going to say second roll, but no, it's the third roll, so that we can see what we're going to read next. I am feeling in the mood for something just a little bit more pacey. It's like a little bit more to it. Like that's what I'm wanting right now. Okay, let's just do it. We ended the second roll on TBR backlist. I have an option to go up the ladder or carry on round. Honestly, I feel pretty confident, so let's just carry on round and hope that's not the wrong choice. 2, 1, 2. Oh, that's a good choice. Okay, slow numbers, but good choice because we've got a 5-star prediction. Let's do that. That sounds good. Deciding to go around was a good choice. We landed on 5-star read. Small progress, but I'm happy with that prompt, so that's great. And you know what? I did have a couple books that I was thinking about, but decided to settle in with my reread. And that is The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. I know I'm really going to enjoy this one. I've been itching to read it because so many people in Discord have picked it up because it is our Discord monthly book club. I'm really excited to get into this one. It is 450 something pages. So whether I finish it this week, I'm not sure because we're on Wednesday. I was meant to be back at work today, but I'm still getting over this cold, flu, virus thing that I've had, and I'm still having coughing fits. I still feel quite tired, so I've actually decided to do the smart thing, what I should have done when I first got ill and call in sick and have a few days off sick, to just give my body a chance to properly recover. So that does mean I've got an extra couple of days to relax and recover. Hopefully that should mean I should get some really good reading in. Having plenty of cups of tea is the best idea. So because this is a reread, I know I'm really going to enjoy this one, but in this one we are following Maya, and Maya is adorable and he is someone you need to protect at all costs. I love him so much. He was in line to become the emperor but never thought he would actually become the emperor. He had loads of different siblings and things in front of him, plus his father, the emperor, really didn't like him. His marriage with his mum was a forced thing. It wasn't anything that anybody actually wanted. It was more like a political thing. Something terrible happens and all of his family is killed, and so now he has to become emperor, but he's got no idea what he's doing because he's never been trained for this role. Just seeing him get to grips with becoming an emperor, like I love him as a character. I think he's just wonderful. He's just such a cinnamon roll, and I really liked the world that was in this. We've got goblins and elves and all sorts, and it's kind of like a cozy fantasy in a way because it's all political based. There's no real high stakes. We're just following wonderful character Maya learning how to become emperor, learning to stick up for himself, learning to set boundaries. I found it a delight when I first read it. It was definitely a few years ago. This one is a gift from Naomi, so thank you so much. So yeah, I think this is going to be really good. I'm not sure if I gave it 5 stars the last time I read it, but I know it is a book I really enjoy, and I'm not somebody that gives star ratings unless I have to, but this for me, I know I really like it. So when I see a 5-star read, I'm like, that is a book that you know you're going to love. I know I'm gonna love this because I loved it when I first read it. And there's also like a spin-off to this, so this is could be read as a standalone completely on its own, and that's how I see it. But there is a smaller series of books that follow a character that we meet in here. Danny loves those. I know she loves those, and I've got the first one, so I really want to read that this year as well. So I'm really excited to get into this one, to read it, and just then be able to continue on with that. I mean, did I need to reread it before I read The Witness for the Dead? No. One, it came up as a Discord book club pick, which is amazing, and two, I love a reread, and I wanted to reread this before I went into that series anyway, so I could reacquaint myself with this world, with the characters, with the different political things that are going on, because I know that will have an impact. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. I'm really excited. I feel like this is the right move to change the reading tone from The Crow Garden. I think I need something like that to get through, so I'm gonna put The Crow Garden down for now. So unfortunately that's not going to count on a bingo prompt yet. For me, I finish out the bingo board when I finish a book. Paws on Bookshelves, it will still count for even if I don't finish it, because I'm playing it as I go. That's a game that's helping me choose the books that I'm reading, but I'm not going to tick off the bingo board prompt, which may mean that I don't get my bingo if I don't finish this one. So I am hoping to finish it anyway. One, because it's a gift, and two, because there are parts of this story that I am intrigued by. Putting it down for now. I may pick it up for the end of the month though. Continue on with my 10 pages a day of Ways of Seeing, starting the Goblin Emperor, and hopefully just read. I feel in the mood to sit down with a good fantasy book with a cup of tea and just sink my teeth into it and just give myself a couple of days to actually rest. But right, okay, that's enough for me. Let's go and do that cup of tea. Oh wait, I did update my series tracker. Oh, I left everything in the other room. I'll get that next time. On the next update I'll show you, but basically I was updating my series tracker in my reading journal. I have one on my phone, or Notion, and then I've decided to do a physical one, which I used to try and do ages ago, but never kept up with it. But I feel more like ready to do all the different stats and tracking things and stuff this year, so hopefully it will work. But I'll show you that. I can't bother to go and get the journal right now, so I'll show you that in a bit. morning. I have some reading updates for you. I didn't actually read loads yesterday, but we'll get into that. So I have still been reading my 10 pages a day of The Ways of Seeing. I'm enjoying this one. So this is essay number 3, and it looks at the nude and painting the nude and how women are seen as nude, and just like the difference between being naked and being nude, the way it's perceived in artwork, and just all these different things. It's not too bad, actually. I find that one quite interesting. So I'm now up to page 58. We're slowly getting through it. I still think 10 pages a day is quite good. Like, to be honest, could I finish this essay today? Yes, I think I would, which would take me up to page 64, because that is an interesting one for me. And then it looks like essay number 4 is just another picture one, which again, I've already said, I just think it doesn't really work with this being in black and white. So far I'm having mixed feelings about this one. I think, like I say, the 3rd essay is the one that I'm appreciating the most in terms of like what's being discussed, and the first one about reproductions was also interesting. I think the essays with actually text to it I'm preferring. It's good. I'm pleased that I'm still continuing on with this. I have been reading bits of the Goblin Emperor. I am up to chapter 10, page 129, and this is by what I mean I didn't read much yesterday, because actually I got to page like 90 something the other day. So when I first picked this one up, like first chose it, but yesterday I really didn't do much. I mainly slept most of the day. I feel better for doing that, but it does mean that where if I had been reading like 100 pages a day, I could have probably finished this book by the end of the vlog. I don't think that's going to happen now. Again, I'm actually not too bothered about that, because I am trying to nip that in the bud with feeling like I need to finish a book in every single weekly reading vlog. But so far, I'm enjoying my reread. I'm enjoying it so much. I'm so happy to be back with Maya. I just think he's such a lovely character. I already mentioned how he ends up becoming the emperor. So it's of the elf lands, but he is half goblin. So obviously this is setting up for lots of difficulties, lots of people looking down on him, because everybody knows that the late emperor never really wanted Maya on the throne, never wanted Maya in the first place. It was a political marriage, one that he kind of got shoehorned into. He was still reeling from the grief of losing his previous wife, who he loved. He ended up with a son as well, and he ended up sending them off, didn't want anything to do with them, kept them out of society. And yeah, and now Maya's dealing with the fact that actually now he's going to be emperor and learning the politics of it, because a lot of it, like, he hasn't been prepared to be emperor. So you've seen a lot of him learning the politics of what he needs to know to be able to manage. Also how a lot of people disapprove of a lot of things that he does, how there's a lot of rumors about him being mad because, you know, he's half goblin and all of this. There's a lot that can be pulled from this, especially about racism, about accepting people. It's kind of done traditionally in the way that, I mean, traditional fantasy, in the way that elves are seen as like those really tall, willowy, superior, beautiful beings, and then goblins are your shorter, not as good looking in the traditional sense as like elves would be perceived as. And so there's a lot of slights about how Maya looks and some of their traditions, how it differs from being an elf. And yeah, I think it's really interesting because you can pull it into a modern day context of just things like racism. I think Catherine Addison does a really good job of managing that. Like, this is a slow moving story, it's a political one. To me, it's just comforting and cozy. I really enjoy reading it. So yeah, I'm pleased to continue on with that, and I'm not planning on doing much today. I'm back at work tomorrow, so I'm just gonna chill out and read, and we'll see how much I get read. I don't know how much I'm gonna get read, but we'll just see. If it goes into next week, it goes into next week. I haven't read any more of The Crow Garden, to be honest. I haven't thought about it at all, so I'm gonna leave this one and we'll see. I might eventually get back to it this month. It may end up being a DNF, just because I didn't like that main character. I didn't like his perspective, and I just don't know if I want to push through it to read the rest of the story to find out what happens to Victoria Holston when I'm dealing with a narrator that I really just don't like. So yeah, I haven't thought about it at all since putting it down, so I don't honestly think I'm going to go back to it, but I could surprise myself. But that's it, a really small update, nothing major, because I really didn't do too much yesterday. Yeah, hopefully I read a little bit more today. I am feeling better and a bit more rested, so I can actually read, and that would be really good. There are certain things that as I'm reading The Goblin Emperor, I'm remembering, and I'm like, oh, I wonder when this happens and all of this. Like, I'm enjoying this a lot. I love the world that we're getting. I like how we're getting bits of information just simply because Maya doesn't know. He has been kept in the dark, and so he's having to, as emperor, say, I don't know what's going on, which doesn't look good for him because he's meant to be emperor, he's meant to know all of this stuff, but he's really lucky that he's got a gentleman called Sylvester. Is it Sylvester? He is kind of like his secretary. He took him on as his secretary and he's so helpful, so non-judgmental. I really like him as a character as well. Other characters that we're seeing, like some of them you really don't like, some not so bad, you know? I'm not used to having this circle because I just got a ring light and I've been playing around with it and I do like it. I think it looks a lot nicer. I'm not used to the circle, so it's a little bit distracting. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying my book, which is really good, but I don't plan on doing much. I just plan on having another chill day, hopefully reading a little bit more than just 30 pages and my 10 pages. I mean, I've already done my 10 pages today of this, so that's fine. All I did yesterday was literally 10 pages of this and about 30-ish pages of this, and that was it. So hopefully I can read a bit more because I do enjoy it and I do just want to get back to it. I've finished a book for one of the other videos I was working on, so this is kind of like the only book that I really need to focus on right now because, again, I'm putting Crow Garden down for now, so these are the two that I've got on the go, but because these are only 10 pages, like that's easily done. So I do have the rest of the day just to focus on this. However, I am aware of the fact that I haven't made any more progress with Midwinter Murders, and I do want to finish this out in winter. Don't get me wrong, I've still got February to go, but I've only read the first two. No, I've read the first three, but there's still quite a few left to go, so it'd be good if I could get one more read, which the next one is literally 19 pages, so I might do that today. We'll see, I'll decide what I want to do, I'm not sure. That's it, I managed to ramble even longer for another 4 minutes, but yeah, there's not much else to say. I had a very relaxed day. Last couple of days, haven't done too much, which is what I needed, so I do feel ready to go back to work. Yeah, anyway, okay, I'm gonna stop talking now. I didn't read a single short story yesterday from the Midwinter Murders. I do want to, like, I'm very excited to read this short story collection. I've only read 2 so far, but I'm also in that space of I really don't want it to end because this is the last Agatha Christie short story collection that I have, and I know from this point on, like when it gets into my seasonal short story collections for like spring, summer, autumn, that they're not going to be Agatha Christie, they're going to be something different because I've got so many short stories on my TBR that it would be good to read some of the other collections, but it's also making me go, but I don't want it to end. And I mean, to be fair, I still have a whole other month to go, like I've got all of February to go, but I also don't want to be at that point where I'm like having to rush read it in February, so I definitely want to make sure I read at least one before the end of this video. Probably won't be today because I'm really feeling like reading the Goblin Emperor and I still haven't read the 10 pages for the non-fiction, and I think that's another thing because I've been doing 10 pages of non-fiction every day. That's kind of eaten into the time I would have put into a short story. I haven't read my pages for the non-fiction book today yet, so I still need to do that, but I'm really feeling like just curling up with a hot drink before work and just reading this because I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying my reread, and I know I spoke little bits about like the racism aspect in here and things like this, but just Maya as a character, I feel like I didn't really speak about him enough in just how well Catherine Addison has made Maya. Like, he is such an understandable, believable character. He is 18 years old and he is struggling with being emperor, a position that he never ever thought he would be in. And there are so many things about his character where he's just so well developed, and that's what I love about it. So we're only following Maya's perspective and you really get to know him, and I do like the fact that he is so believable. Sometimes I feel like, not so much now, but definitely older young adult fantasy, not that this is young adult fantasy, but definitely, actually to be fair, even some adult fantasy where you would have a main character that goes through hardships in their life, suddenly get into this position of power, and then they're just like, oh yeah, that's fine, I can deal with all of this. And it's like, but that's not realistic, and I really like how real Maya feels. So he deals with a lot of different things. So some of just like the simple things of being 18, being around people he's attracted to for the first time ever, because he was always kept in this house right on the outskirts of society with only him and his cousin and a couple of servants there. So he never really interacted with people his own age, definitely not people that he found attractive. Seeing him suddenly like get all flustered because there's someone really beautiful in the room, and he's like, oh god, what do I say? I've never been around these people before. Like, that what? I'd never thought I'd be around somebody so beautiful as this. And seeing him get all flustered and then have to remind himself, you are emperor, you cannot act this way, you must get yourself under control. And just seeing that battle and the reality that he is such a young person to be in this position, and what it is like from being so secluded to suddenly around loads and loads of people, and somehow how he gets lost in those conversations because he's not had those friendships or interactions or understanding all the tiny little politics that go on, because again, he was shoved in a little corner, out of the way, out of sight, out of mind, and now he's in the limelight and he's struggling to deal with that, dealing with the disdain of other people who feel like, well, you should know all of these things, but also he's never been taught, so how should he know? And it's not his fault, and him feeling very, very alone as a result. And you know, he's got a handful of people that are helping him. It's that reminder of, yes, there are some good people out there who will help you just for the sake of helping you, but having to be very careful because a lot of people will take advantage of the fact that he is at such a disadvantage. And so it's just like seeing him be so careful around every single interaction is really heartfelt, and I really like it because again, it makes him feel so much more real. And also dealing with his cousin, the cousin that was really horrible to him, the hardships that he went through from a young age, from being in his cousin's care for the last 10 years, and how that still has an impact on him now, and that fear that he has, that again, he has to remind himself, you're emperor, he can't do anything to you. It's real. Like when you go through hardships like that, it does stay with you. It does. It's hard to just suddenly go, oh well, I'm in power, you can't do anything to me. Like, it's not as easy as that. So I really like that we're seeing Maya's struggles in that way, and it's just I just really like it. I mean, this is a very political heavy book. It's very slow moving, but I just think it's so well done. I also forgot to mention that at the very start of this book, you have pages and pages of places, people, things, God, that are important in this world. So if you ever want to refer back to it, you can. There is also a pronunciation guide, which is like a handbook for travellers in the Elflands, which is very handy as we are a traveller in the Elflands at the moment. So I'm really enjoying that. I'm really enjoying the difficulties that he's having in just standing up to certain people, because some people were like, well, we can 100% influence him and just have him as a puppet emperor because again, he's been kept out of everything, and you know, we can do that, we just need to like strong arm him into position to do what we want. He's standing out against that, standing up for himself. Again, he doesn't always feel comfortable doing, and because you're following Maya and you're inside his head, you get to see all those different thoughts and feelings, and I really like it. I like how he is pushing out against the way things have always been done, especially in terms of like interacting with goblins and having them come over in this way that they've never done. Like, the elves have never hosted any foreigners. The ambassador of the goblins, they've never hosted a meal for, and Maya is like, okay, we're gonna do this. And so he's putting things into question, the way things have always been done, and challenging that, which is putting him in a precarious position because obviously he's new. There's a lot of opposition against him, there's a lot of vicious rumours going around about him, and just seeing him in that position. But it's been really fun to see him navigate that. Like, it's such a comforting book, and I think most of that comes from the character that we're following. Is just such a wholesome character, and you know, there are times when you just want to protect him at all costs from some of the people that are being horrible to him. There are times when you just want to give him a hug and be like, it's gonna be okay, you got this. But I really do like it. It's such a easy, like, it's easy to read. It's kind of complicated in the politics of it all, but because Maya is also confused, you do get those exclamations every so often, or you do get him berating himself like, oh, I need to learn this. And it's kind of nice because as a reader, you're not left feeling like, oh, well, I don't know this, and feeling like you should know it as a reader and getting annoyed because it's not explained to you, because Maya is also feeling that annoyance. So I feel like it just works. We've still got the investigation into what actually happened to the late emperor and his brothers and everything, people that he's not really interacted with. He's meant to be mourning for these people, but he's like, well, I don't mourn for them because I don't know these people. But that's like in the background. It's not something that's, I mean, it's there, it's important to look at, that, but it's in the background because, again, Maya can just dictate to people, right, you need to go and investigate this, but he can't actively investigate it because, again, he's emperor, so he can't do those sort of things. And again, it's him getting used to things like that, and little things like wanting to help those that aren't well off and wanting to show up to funerals for not just his father and brothers that died, but also all the workers and things, and how everyone is so like, oh my god, you can't do that, because they're like, but the emperor's meant to be kept separate from his subjects, and he's like, but I don't want to be kept separate. I don't feel like that's a good practice as emperor. I should be there and know my subject. So it's just good. I really like it. I think Maya's just lovely. I'm going to read a little bit more. I don't know how long I've got before I need to leave. I've got about 2 hours before I need to get myself ready for work. We'll see how much of this I get read. Like I say, I still need to read my 10 pages of The Ways of Seeing, which won't take me long. I'm feeling like I just really want to just sit down and read this, and it will be really nice. And I think, again, because it's cold outside, as if snuggling up with a blanket and a hot drink with this book is just perfect for it. So yeah, I'm having a really good time with my reread, and it seems like the main consensus on Discord is that everyone's enjoying this one as well, which is really lovely to see. But yeah, I think that is everything I needed to say, or like wanted to say. Probably what will happen is I'll get like an hour and a half's worth of reading, because I still want to do myself some lunch and things like that. But yeah, and then hopefully I'm planning to wrap up this vlog on Monday, because I started this vlog on Monday. It looks like we're finally doing Monday to Monday. Normally I do Sunday to Sunday because my working week is Sunday. Starts on a Sunday. So I think Monday we'll probably wrap up this vlog and then start the next one and do another roll. I'm really intrigued to see what I'm going to be reading after this one. It feels really weird to have nothing like planned in place. It's good and I definitely enjoy it for the first like week or two, but then after that I'm kind of like, I want to know what I'm reading so I can plan things, especially when I'm back at work, because I'm juggling a lot more things. We'll see what happens. For now, let's go chill out with a cup of tea and read some more of this book. Time to wrap up this vlog. It's now Monday. I was gonna say morning, but it's almost afternoon at this point, and honestly I read quite a lot. I'm pretty impressed. I say I'm pretty impressed, but in reality basically what happened is I have 2 other vlogs on the go currently. So I've got my Cozy New Releases vlog that I've just started because I got one of the books early, and I've also got the Battle of the Booktuber vlogs ongoing. So I have a lot of other reading commitments, which is why I'm saying to myself I'm not stressing myself out too much if I don't finish videos if I don't finish books every single week for these weekly reading vlogs, which I know you're probably tired of me saying that. I promise this is going to be the last time I mention it going forward, because you all know what's going on. There's a lot going on. So because I've constantly got loads of other things going on, it means that my weekly reading vlogs, the books that I'm reading, like I'm still putting aside an hour a day, but where I could normally read a lot more per day for it, I'm having to split out my day between the 3 or 4 different reads that I've got going on. Until I decided that yesterday, you know what, sod it, I don't want to read anything else other than reading some of this book. And so I've almost finished it. I've only got 50 pages left, which I do hopefully plan on finishing this morning, but because I've then got work, I was like, I'm not actually going to have time to finish it, update this video and all of that, like, and wrap up this vlog in time before going to work. And I was like, I could then extend this vlog till tomorrow. I thought, you know what, I just want to do another roll. I want to see what I'm picking up next. But I'm right at the end, and honestly I wouldn't talk to you about these last 50 pages anyway, because it's, well, right at the end of the book. So everything that I've said about this book is what I love about it. Like, I love that it's so comforting. I love that we have Maya. I love the fact that we do have some things that we're having to deal with that progress the plot on, but a lot of it is just politics. A lot of it is Maya realizing that he is just stuck in this room listening to people talk and then being like, okay, well, so and so is going to go and do this thing for you. He's not actually actively able to do anything to do something about this thing. Instead, he just tells people, you're going to do this to do this. And it's him getting used to that and realizing that is his role. And then some of the other things that happen, like there is a kind of, I would say, a slightly higher stake thing. Nothing feels very high stakes about this book, which is why it feels so cozy to me, because to me a cozy book is something that really doesn't have high stakes, doesn't feel like it has high stakes. Like, yes, there are things going on in the background, yes, there is something that does end up happening, but none of it feels too high stakes, and that's what I kind of love about this. And so this book isn't going to be for everyone because it very much is a slow Mirandaine tale. It is just characters having conversations about politics and dealing with the realities of becoming emperor at such a young age, not being prepared for it. Like, it is basically just a character study in a political fantasy setting, but I also love it. I will say I was so close to finishing this book yesterday. I honestly could have finished off these 50 pages, but by that point I was starting to get tired. And as I've already mentioned, some of the words in here are so long, and because it's so politically heavy, I prefer to not be tired when I'm reading this book. But yeah, I mean, these last 50 pages, I'm not going to tell you what's happening in them. I know that this is a book that I really love. It is definitely something I will continue to reread, and I'm really excited to continue on. Let me get the book. With the spin-off series that is following a character in here. It's a character that is very much a side character. They get tasked with finding out what happened to the airship that was carrying Maya's father and brothers that ended up exploding. Side character is tasked with finding out what it is because he is a witness for the dead, and you get all of that explained in here about the belief system, about the different witnesses and what they're actually used for and things. And then we have this side series which are all little smaller fantasy books. I think there's 3 of them, and then none of them are that long. They're just over 300 pages, but it all follows just him, and his name is Thara. And Thara, yeah, is the side character that we meet in here. I like his story in here. We learn little bits of it in the Goblin Emperor, but I'm really looking forward to actually focusing in on him and seeing more of him as a character and just the different things that he gets up to. So I'm so pleased to have done my reread of this book, be able to move on to this one at some point in the year. I think it's going to be really good. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. This was really good. I love the different interactions that Maya has. I love seeing Maya come into himself and starting to accept he is emperor and the things that he can do. Like, it was so good. I'm probably not going to mention this in next week's vlog because it literally is 50 pages, so just know that I'll be finishing it up today. And I love it. I definitely want to put in some more detailed thoughts in Discord. That's something I want to get better with. I'm normally quite good at that when it comes to mysteries because I love putting in my theories and things. When it comes to more fantasy plot lines, I want to get better at putting in some of my commentary. So things like I talk to you here, but actually putting that in Discord as well, because, you know, it's a book club. They should have the thoughts before it comes out on YouTube, so I want to get better at doing that going forward. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this, and I'm just really pleased that majority of people seem to really be enjoying this book. It really is such a lovely, comforting tale. Like, I love it. This is why I love rereading as well, because rereading is just purely comforting for me because I already know the story. It's lovely, and I used to reread so much, so it's definitely something I want to continue. Not loads. I still want the majority of my reads to be the new books that I've got. I would love to do at least once a month, and then I really am thinking about December being a reread month. Do one a month from January to November, and then December do a reread month with maybe like 1 week where I do the Christmas themed murder mysteries, because I still love doing that, and then do it like that, because then that way I can have all of my stats videos out a little bit earlier, my favourite books of the year out a bit earlier. It just means that there'll be favourite books from January to November, which I don't think's a bad thing, and then it means it scratches that itch for me of being able to have a reread month. Like, I used to try and do it around my birthday in May. I think it was a couple years ago where I did a reread month for my birthday, because I do love rereading. But I think in terms of YouTube with the stats, the top books of the year, getting things like that in a more timely manner, maybe it would be good. I'm going to try it this year. We're going to see how it goes. But yeah, I loved this. Oh, this is the sort of fantasy book that I really love, and it's so good. It's so nice. I mean, comparing this one and then the Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell reread that I did last month, again, that's another book where, like, not loads happens. It's a very slow moving book, but I do really like them. Love this. We'll be finishing this off maybe today, maybe not, but I've only got 50 pages left, so we're gonna say that's done. Shall we do that for the bingo board? Because I still haven't decided what I want this one to be as. So let me see. Booktuber bingo. Okay, so we've got mood read from last week. That's done. Oh, I wanted to put, I'm going to go into it in a minute, but animal on the cover can be the ways of seeing, because there is a little horse's head right here. So I'm going to do that. Technically this is not done yet. I am 88 pages way through this book, but I'm almost done. So I should hopefully have this finished up next week, I want to say. So that's going to go for animal on the cover. We're going to put a cross on it for now. I can deduct it if for whatever reason I don't finish it. But then the Goblin Emperor. Oh, I don't know what to do for this one. I could do it for longer than the previous read. Not bothered with trying to get a bingo. We're just going to see how many squares I can tick off because I just don't think the bingo is going to happen. So we're just going to go from there. I could also do this as a cozy read for me because it's a reread, but also I've got other cozy reads on there. Yeah, I've got loads of books that I can do as a cozy read, which I'll probably, in my wrap up, go through every single book I've read this month. Because again, I've got a couple, oh no, there's a few in the background I can't even talk about. I can mention it and be like, I read this book which fits for this prompt. You just won't know what the book is. It's a weird time. But yeah, I'm going to do this for longer than the previous read book, which works well for that one. So that's that one. Mentioned ways of seeing, might as well carry on with it. I'm now up to page 88 and we're up to a part where we're talking about oil paintings. Honestly, this is fine. It's not as interesting as I hoped it would be, but I will continue to finish this out and we'll just see. I think it's been a good one to get me back into reading non-fiction because it's small. There are pages with no text, so it's easy to fly through. So I feel a lot more happier with going forward and making sure I read more non-fiction. It's just this one's not interesting me as much as I hoped it would. Some of the commentary it has is interesting, some not as keen on. On the whole, I haven't found loads that I'm taking from this, which is what I want from a non-fiction book, but it's still been interesting and it could still surprise me. I am just over halfway through. We'll be continuing on with this next week, continuing my 10 pages a day, which has been really fun to do actually. I have enjoyed doing it for 10 pages a day. I think it works really well. I then last night thought before I go to bed I'm going to read the short story from Midwinter Murders, and then I started reading it and realised I've already read this one, but it's called something different. So in this it's called The Mystery of the Baghdad Chest, and in this it's called The Mystery of the Spanish Chest. It's the same story though. It's got a slightly different introduction. I prefer the introduction to this, but it is the exact same story with the same characters and everything, just the introduction slightly different, and they've been called different titles. So in the end I didn't actually bother to finish it because I'd read this one literally in December. So if it was something where I'd like read the short story in a few months ago, then I would have happily read it, and I've done that a few times when there's been crossover. But if I've read it recently, I'm not going to go that quick into it. So I ended up technically reading a short story from here and moving forward one, but also not because I had already read it. And then The Crow Garden, which I haven't picked up any more of this book, haven't really thought about it. Think this could end up being a DNF. I'm debating whether it's going to be a soft DNF, so like just a DNF for now, maybe I'll get back to it at some point, or whether I'm just going to DNF. I'm thinking maybe soft DNF, and if by next year I still haven't got back to this book and I'm still not feeling it, then maybe we'll do a proper DNF on this one. A year seems like a long time, but for me historical fiction really isn't something I'm in the mood for often, and there are some books that I have soft DNF'd ages and ages ago that I do still eventually want to read, like The Historian. This is like a historical fiction horror based on Dracula, which I got a certain way through a little while ago now. I think it was like 2023 maybe before that, I'm not sure the exact year, but I do still eventually want to read that book at some point, so it might happen with that. I don't know. Just for now, for this month, I think it's going to be a DNF. As much as I didn't technically finish a single book, we read honestly from lots of different things. Okay, ignoring this one because that one was just the comparison, but yeah, we've read from lots of different things this week. It's just technically I haven't finished any of them yet, but that's okay. That happened, you know, sometimes you just get a reading week like that, and apparently that is what happened. That's everything. Really? Oh wait, before I go, I did come home to a package. Ooh, okay, so this is A Curious Beginning by Dana Raper. Let me check, is there any, there's no gift notes. Oh, got them. Thank you, Denise. Happy January. Hope you have a wonderfully successful month, from Denise. Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. Always spoiling me. Thank you so much. I love this series. Curious Beginning is a book that I've read, but I absolutely adored it. It was actually one of the books I mentioned as an honourable mention in my top books of 2024, and I really wanted to have this book on my shelf, so thank you so much. I love this. This is a nice like murder mystery series where we're following Veronica Speedwell and Stoker and all the things they get up to. I'm not going to go too much into it because I have spoken about it a lot. I love this series though, and I'm so happy to have the first book. That's thank you so much. Okay, right, it is time to finish this video so I can get on with next week's video and do the roll for that, which I'm very excited because again, I don't know what I'm reading. I know I'm going to finish off the last pages of the Goblin Emperor, but then I don't know what I'm picking up after that. So let's finish out this one so I can go find out what I'm going to be reading next. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. You have to let me know if you've read any of these books, what you thought of them. That's it. So if you have made it this far, then put a crown emoji if you made it this far or you just don't know what to comment. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch these videos. I really appreciate all of you that do that, so thank you. If you have enjoyed this video, then please do consider giving it that thumbs up, subscribing and commenting. Those 3 things really help this channel out. My social media links and anyone I've mentioned will be linked below for you, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.